by Mountain Dew.
And welcome inside our New York studios. It is time for NBA Countdown, the first one of November, guys. We made it to month 2 of the season. That's Richard Jefferson. We allowed him to come back. Adrian Wojnarowski, our senior NBA insider, Maria Taylor, Jalen Rose, and Jay Will.
Why does your face get so tight when you get mad, man?
I'm just glad you guys all found it funny.
Yes.
Just glad you guys all
We do all find it funny, but we also have a lot of news. I literally just sat here and watched Woj tweet, so let's get into it. And it starts with Carmelo Anthony. That's right, the Trailblazers are going to sign him. The Woj dropped the bomb last night, and it's going to be trying to help out a 4-8 team that is the worst 12-game start in the Dame Lillard era. Now remember, November 8th was the last time we saw him actually playing basketball. That was in a Rockets jersey, but you just announced on Twitter, right, that we might have to wait a little bit longer. We might not get to see him play against the Rockets.
Right, yeah, that Monday reunion with the Rockets, that's not happening. He may play him later in the year, but Carmelo Anthony's not going to make his Blazers debut before Tuesday night in New Orleans, and he's got to finish up getting his physical done and then joining the team on the road in Texas. But Tuesday night is the first possible night you'll see Carmelo Anthony in a Blazers uniform. And, this is a player who they really hope can come in and help this team.
10-time NBA All-Star, but why now? Tell us why now and how this deal ends up getting done with Neil O'Shea and Carmelo.
Well, listen, this is a team that has struggled. Injuries to, Zach Collins, that their four-man, Yusuf Nurkic is out, since last season. And, Neil O'Shea looked at the landscape and knew that if he was going to bring in a player to play with Damian Lillard, with C.J. McCollum, it had to be a player that commanded their respect. And Carmelo Anthony absolutely does that. And they need somebody who can come in and make shots in the fourth quarter and have the trust of those players to give him the ball late in the game, because this is a team that has lost a lot of leads. 6 of the last 7 games, they've had leads in the fourth. And this is a team that plays a lot of isolation right now. That's a lot of their offense. And certainly Melo is a player who, has thrived in that. And, Neil O'Shea talked with Melo on the phone Thursday before they did the deal and essentially said to him, we need you as much as you need us right now. And he knew that there's nobody else out sitting on their couch anywhere else in the NBA who has the gravitas of Melo. There's no player in the G League you could bring in that would shake up this Blazers locker room. And I think with these veteran players and a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, to them, this was a serious statement to bring him in. And, C.J. McCollum worked out all summer with Melo in New York. They share the same trainer. And both McCollum and Damian Lillard said, let's bring him in.
Yeah, Chris Berkeley. I really want Melo to win, and I think his game is like an old man game. It can fit in with all the isolated ball they play, because he can definitely knock down that catch and shoot shot now. But Jay Rose, I get worried about it just a little bit, okay? Portland has lost their last 6 to 7 games. All right, they're coming up on a 6-game road streak and 6-game road streak. And also the fact that Melo isn't great. I messed up, RJ. Don't play with me. You know what I meant to say. Get out of here. But, here's my point. They're the worst defensive team in the fourth quarter. So we all know Melo's not great defensively. And my thing is, I just want to set expectations for everybody. Hey, look, this is going to be a little bit of a grind. He's got to find his way. But still, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt as a player. I think eventually he will shine, though.
It's just crazy to me. Over the last couple of years, I personally have been lauding for Colin Kaepernick to get an opportunity, and for the last year for Melo to get an opportunity, and they both individually getting them on the same weekend. So this is actually a win for the league in a lot of ways. Number one, he's a future Hall of Famer, and he deserved to go out better than what happened in Houston. Basketball-wise, I understand what you're saying, Jay, about them struggling defensively. But they need scoring, and they always needed scoring seemingly from the small forward spot. And without Nurkic, Melo can give you those ISO buckets. He's a heat check player. He's going to have times when you're watching him play, he's going to give you 10 points in a quarter, 15 points in a half. And when he is struggling defensively, you got to take him out of the game. He isn't a young man anymore.
Yeah, no, I think when you look at an older player getting an opportunity like Carmelo, look at Dwight Howard. Look at what Dwight Howard has done. There was a lot of question marks. They interviewed him. They weren't sure if he was the guy. They had a no-nonsense policy for him coming into that locker room, and he's excelled. He's accepted that role. And the one thing that I've always said, it's not a matter of whether or not you will accept the role, is whether you will accept it with enthusiasm. And I believe if Carmelo is as honest and as humble as he has been trying to campaign for a job, then he will show up there and he will accept whatever role with with enthusiasm, and I think that's great for him in the game of basketball.
Remember, the contract's non-guaranteed. They could cut him loose at any time before January. And you're in a position now where 40% of the league was a free agent last summer. That means they can't be traded until December 15th. It is hard to make a trade right now. So to improve your team, there are not a lot of options out there. Portland thought for what was available, who was available now, that Carmelo gave them the best chance to make some kind of an impact on this team. He's not going to save them, and they're not expecting that.
Mm-hmm. We know there's going to be an impact made, though, right? Because right now, 45% of the points are scored by CJ and Dame. That's just it. So what kind of impact does he make immediately, though? Do we expect him to have ISO plays run from him? We say the fifth most plays run in the league right now.
I think I can give you an attribute that's not on the court, just playing-wise, as far as scoring buckets. I just think Rich made mention of energy. I think his energy. Look, I saw a game when he was playing with the Rockets, okay, when they were playing against the Nets, and my man wasn't starting. It was a big thing, okay? He went back into the locker room until his number was called in the second quarter is when he came back out. All right, so, my thing is, Melo was this summer, talking to everybody, being engaged, looking enthusiastic, wanting to play, wanting to buy into that role. I think that sets a different tone for a team than the Melo that we saw in the past.
What do you think that we're going to see from Melo?
I think he's going to be humble. I think he's going to be enthusiastic, as you guys mentioned. But also, this is not just about the Portland Trail Blazers. If he does well here, he can probably get attached to another team if it doesn't necessarily work out long term, if he does decide to retire. So it's bigger than just what he does with the Portland Trail Blazers.
You were traded at points later on in your career, and you had to assume different roles. Just walk us through the mindset of going through probably what Melo finds himself going through right now.
So
I lived through a year of it.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you're in your prime, your ego plays a big time factor.
Sure.
You don't want to reduce role. You don't want to play less minutes.
Right.
And the media knows that. And when it happens on those nights, they come and instigate and ask you those questions. When you get a little bit older, you should modify your thinking because you're probably getting more tickets to the game than you're playing minutes.
Yeah.
When that starts to happen, you become an older player. People ain't showing up as much to come and check you out. So now for Melo, he's been humbled. Okay, he's been out of the league, having people campaigning for him to get an opportunity. Now he's back in the game. I think he's going to get some joy playing in the league again.
Well, either way, the Trailblazers, they add a former scoring champion and a guy who's second in points, career points, only behind LeBron James. So that is an added value. We'll obviously see how it works and continue to rely on Woj for some of that reporting. Now, I did hear from Malika Andrews, she reported this, that at some point at MSG, they were actually chanting Melo's name when they found out that he was going to get signed. On the flip side, they were booing that guy, Porzingis, as he came back for the first time to MSG. That's where he spent his first 3.5 years. He had 20 points and 11 rebounds in the loss, which ended up being the third win for the Knicks. And remember, 2 of those have come against Dallas and Porzingis. This was the first home game, though, since that startling press conference. That's what we're going to call it. With Steve Mills and Scott Perry. And my biggest question in this scenario, obviously David Fizdale, it seems like he's been kind of left out there on his own. What did he sign up for?
Not kind of. He's out there.
When he came to coach the Knicks, what was he actually signing up for, and what is he sitting in the middle of right now?
Well, what he signed up for was to coach Kristaps Porzingis and then have the opportunity in free agency to go big game hunting. Well, he doesn't have Kristaps Porzingis on his roster. He was traded, and what they wanted in those trades, which essentially was cap space, they got a couple picks, Dennis Smith Jr., the cap space didn't matter. They didn't get big free agents. And now this is an organization that is starting over. And despite what they did in free agency this summer by bringing in veteran players to sort of, try to bridge a season, they're in that in-between place where they don't have a lot of young prospects that they're trying to develop. They've got veterans on one-year deals who may, at some point this season, be more focused on stats and numbers to get their next deal.
Yeah.
And I think what happened on Sunday night for David Fizdale was it was management separating themselves from him. I think that's how it felt to the coaching staff. And he was
definitely how it looked, Woj.
Yeah, he was in his post-game locker room talking to his team when management was already in there talking. And when he walked out, he didn't know what they had said before he walked into his. So it created management said that they were taking on some responsibility, but clearly they put it on David Fizdale. And now this is a coach who, in a lot of ways, you talk to executives, other coaches around the league, others around the Knicks, who all felt that they undermined their coach in this situation, and that is something management has to repair if they're going to go forward with him. But beating the Mavs twice in a little over a week. It's certainly for an organization that's trying to stay face with that Porzingis trade, it made them feel a little better about where they are.
I appreciate everything that you said. I do. I really just rolled. Can someone roll this tape? Roll this tape. A month ago, what was said? Well, I'll tell you what. This year, Knicks fans, I know I give them a lot of mess, but there are two things to look forward to. It's April 15th when the season's over, and it's June 25th when the draft. Those are two things that they can look forward to, because at the end of the day, this team, they're gonna play. They might be competitive, but ultimately they're gonna start wanting to work for a very, very high draft pick. So April 15th, it'll all be over, and then they'll be able to look forward to the draft again.
A month ago.
Look, so we're at victory laps already. I'm not taking a victory lap. They're in full panic mode. But it's like, why are you panicking when everyone that had any type of basketball intelligence already knew what was going on?
It was for an audience of one. Jim Dolan.
Yes.
That's what that was about, because they're still trying to convince the Roner that they put a team together that could be competitive.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you don't say anything after Cleveland whoops your tail, it just stays insulated. It stays in the tri-state. Probably some media companies talk about New York Post, great. But by having a press conference, then it becomes national news.
They should have had that press conference to start the season.
It's a self-inflicted wound.
That press conference should have been in the preseason. Like, we are struggling. We don't know what's going on. We don't even know what's going to happen this year. That's what they should have been saying.
We should have been talking about the Knicks right now.
No, it's purely location-based. That's my thing with all the Knicks fans that get fired up. The only reason why we're talking about you is because of location. If this team was in Seattle, if this team was in St. Louis, we would never, ever talk about this team.
I don't think we actually said the true problem with the Knicks. It's been their owner, James Dolan. We've seen the footage of Charles Oakley getting thrown out of the building. That night when they did that press conference, you know what the fans were chanting? Fire Dolan. And you know what he did with those fans? Had them thrown out of the game. He does not, it's almost like he's a tyrant in this situation. Took the team off local cable, wanted to see KD's medicals. Like, that's where it starts. And so you have to give the people that you hire an opportunity to actually do their job. And it's going to be interesting to see if that ever takes place.
Can we not talk about the
number
Knicks
one
anymore?
franchise in the NBA.
Yeah.
So fans, you don't like it that much?
Are.
Boycott.
That's real estate. That's real estate.
Still number one franchise.
Location-based.
They've had
franchise.
5 different coaches since 2013. That was the last time they made a playoff. So you're right. Maybe they should allow somebody to sit on the job for a little bit and see what happens. All right, we've got some of the players walking on into Memphis who are waiting for Utah and the Grizzlies to kick it off. Let's check out tonight's Signature Style, brought to you by Zales. Okay. That's John Moran. I don't know if he's coming in with the windbreaker and some gifts for others. We don't really know what's going on here. Is that what you got to do?
Rookie duties. You got to carry stuff.
Everybody?
Yeah, you got to carry your own shoes. I don't care if you